Welcome back to another Out of the Park 24 video in our long-term Detroit Tigers sim. We're in the offseason after the 2024 season. We last left off on the last day of the regular season where we, the Tigers, missed the postseason by a game. And here's how the postseason ended up. The Dodgers took down the Guardians in the World Series 4-1. You may recall, or you may not recall, that the Dodgers lost in 7 games in the World Series last year to the Mariners. So 2 straight World Series appearances for the Dodgers. And, I'm sure that Major League Baseball was thrilled with this ALCS of Cleveland versus Tampa. Some really big markets there. I, for one, am thrilled with it. But Major League Baseball, probably less revenue for them. But anyways, Dodgers over the Guardians, 4-1. And we are now a day away from free agents filing. So I wanted to catch you up on a couple things. Things have happened. People have been fired and dudes have been traded. And I wouldn't say we've made franchise-altering trades in terms of like the talent we've brought in, but we've made some moves of consequence. Let's look first at the new manager of the Detroit Tigers, Bill Prescott. You might say, why did I fire A.J. Hinch after 185 games? Because my offense sucked, and he wouldn't let me fire my hitting coach. He retained full control over the hitting coach, and I couldn't do it anymore with the type of performances we've had offensively. Our pitching has carried us, and it was time to make a change. Now, Bill Prescott does not have any managerial experience in this game. He's legendary at development. He's excellent at mechanics, excellent at aging. His relationships, well, that's not the right team. His relationship with the Tigers are excellent. Look at that, excellent. You don't find excellent too often. I do put a lot of emphasis on managers' relationship with the team. That was a big selling point for him. It's a pretty big risk to give a 4-year, $940,069 salary to a rookie manager, but we're going to do it. We also brought in a new hitting coach. Corey DeHaan is his name. He's legendary teaching hitting. He's outstanding at mechanics. He's excellent at development. He's good at aging. And look at these relationships. Bad relationships with some pitchers. Pretty much every hitter he's got a good relationship with. So those are the two main staff changes. We also had some minor league staff changes, but those are the two big things. We fired Hinch and then, of course, fired our hitting coach just because I was not going to allow A.J. Hinch to continue to control the hitting coach. I did like him as a manager, but Bill Prescott is the nice thing about Prescott is I can totally mold him to be whatever I want on these things. You can see pretty much everything I can retain. He allows me to retain full control over, which is nice because I can turn him into the manager that I want him to be. So those are the coaching changes. I'm going to jump forward today here to free agents filing and show you the roster moves that we made, as well as how the team is shaping up and what kind of holes we're going to be looking to fill in free agency. All right, so like I said, we left off in October. We're now on November 30th, the day that free agents have filed. Nothing much really happened in October. I think I skipped over this in the last video. I didn't show you Jose Quintana because he was on the IL. He's a free agent now because he was a disaster for us. 15 starts, a 7.11 ERA. You can see the FIP was not terrible, 4.68, but a 389 BABIP and his home runs like more than doubled. His strikeouts were actually up, but his walks were up too. Strikeout to walk percentage was a little worse, but a lot of bad luck and just, over 15 starts. I mean, man, if he had pitched just a little bit better, we would have made the postseason since we missed it by 1 game. But there's a lot of what ifs out there when you miss by 1 game. And then in November, business picked up in a major, major way. There's all our coaching changes. Luis Severino, his contract did vest. He's back next year. More on that later. So we traded De Los Santos, who was, I think he was out of options. Yeah, he was out of option years, so I was ready to move on from him. We packaged him with this stud, Daniel Bannon, and we traded him to the Texas Rangers just for a prospect who really actually, he was 24, so, that context matters, but he absolutely demolished Double-A last year with a 150 WRC+. He can play everywhere. I don't necessarily see him as more than maybe a bench bat utility player, but De Los Santos was somebody I was ready to move on from, so I just kind of shopped them around to see what would happen, and we ended up making that trade. So Jonathan Ornelas will be like AAA depth for us, and maybe he can turn into a player. At 24, I don't hold out a ton of hope based on what my scout thinks, but based off of what he did in AA last year, I've got some interest in him as a player. Then it got really interesting. We traded Eduardo Rodriguez, and we only retained 15% of his contract. You can see we traded Kerry Carpenter, who had struggled for us in 2023 in a lot of playing time, 239 plate appearances, and then last year he ripped it up in AAA. But he's 27 now, and we just have enough left-handed hitting outfielders that we didn't really need Kerry Carpenter anymore. And we packaged them with Carpenter and Sarit here, who is a 23-year-old pitcher. If he gets it together here with his control, I can see a decent prospect. And maybe the Padres think like his control is further along. Now, like his walks really say otherwise. He walked 5.7 guys per nine, but he struck out 14.6 guys per nine in high A last year. Now he was 22. He was also in low A and struck a bunch of guys out. So his strikeout to walk percentage is really good. But I just, I guess that's probably because he has like a major league curveball, like one of the best one of the best changeups around. So he's probably just dominating high A with that changeup. But when he gets to higher levels, he's not going to be able to walk that many guys, not going to be able to give up that many home runs because he's not going to be striking as many guys out. So, but I can certainly see why the Padres, if their scouting report is a little bit different, would be really interested in this guy. So those two guys, and we also traded Eduardo Rodriguez. We retained 15% of his deal. So he's got 2 years left. We're paying 15% of the 16 and then the 15 million. So we got rid of the majority of Eduardo's deal. Eduardo was really not a bad pitcher for us. 2.3 WAR and then 1.4 WAR. His ERA was never terrible. The FIP was never terrible. He was a very serviceable, decent, like number 3 starter for us. But he pitched well enough that we could get rid of his contract. And since, we have Luis Severino, and we also have obviously Sandy Alcantara at the top of our rotation, took this opportunity to move on from Eduardo and free up a bunch of money to bring in players that I like better. He's a player that the old regime brought in, and we're ready to move on, and we're ready to thank him for what he did here. We got Fernando. It really wasn't about who we got back, but we got back a decent player, Fernando Sanchez. Or Fernando Sanchez, if you prefer. He has a torn UCL, so he's out for 3 to 4 more months, which is probably the reason he was available. He pitched in high A last year as a reliever. He was like an old 23-year-old. He turned 24 late in the season, but he was dominant in high A. But again, keep in mind his age. But I think this is a major league pitcher, quite possibly here with that stuff and that curveball. And his 35.3 strikeout to walk percentage last year in high A. He's going to miss some time. Well, I guess he'll be back in what? I guess he'll be back around before the beginning of the season. But we'll see how he comes back from the partially torn UCL that he's been out since August from. So that, if he doesn't pan out, it really doesn't matter. This was more about getting rid of Eduardo Rodriguez's contract. We then had another player who was out of options and we didn't really have a future for here, Akil Badu. And we traded him and Jesus Cruz to the Houston Astros for Brian Abreu, who is an excellent-looking reliever as long as his control stays under control. Haha. He only walked 3.5 guys per nine last year and had a great strikeout to walk percentage. He's had some control issues in previous seasons, but we see Abreu as a very good player for us, but one that is certainly not a guarantee. Some risk here, and I think the Astros see Akil Badu as a legitimate major league outfielder for them. What else happened here? We designated a bunch of dudes for assignment who were out of options and not part of our future plans. Joey Wentz being one of those guys. I mean, he put up a 6.26 ERA last year across 46 innings. He was in AAA, didn't do much better. He wasn't very good for us in 2023. He was eventually claimed off waivers by Kansas City. So was Caleb Killian, who was a guy who pitched pretty well for us at times in 2024, but then really just like things went south for him. and he ended up in the minor leagues. He was out of options. Decent pitcher. I can see why the Royals and their mediocre selves want that guy. Nothing else here really too relevant. We did claim 2 dudes off waivers who are interesting arms. Christian Montos de Oca here. Now remember, I only claim off waivers if they're 25 or older. De Oca was a guy who I was like, should this guy really be on waivers? But I mean, he's a reliever, right? Like, even if he turns into the best reliever in the game, like, relievers pop up out of nowhere, and sometimes the best reliever in the game was like available for free like a year before, like Yanir Cano of the Baltimore Orioles. So this is a really interesting arm. His stuff is phenomenal fastball, phenomenal curveball, and he also has 2 option years left. So he doesn't necessarily have to be on our team to start the year. He did pitch for the Phillies last year and was pretty decent, but not, I wouldn't say, he was as good as like these, the scouting report says he could be, but he still had a really solid season. We also claimed Graham Ashcroft, who in this sim, things have not necessarily gone his way, I don't think. He, in 2023, had a 5.95 ERA, and then last year did not even make the Reds and was in AA and AAA. And he's 26 years old. He does have 1 option year left. I think he's like AAA pitching depth for us that we just kind of got for free on the waiver wire, which we'll take. So Graham Ashcraft is in. De Oca is in. Rosarina, you'll see a bunch of guys that I avoided arbitration here with. No big things. Nobody like that I signed as like a free agent, obviously. This was a fun trade here. Troy Melton was our number 4 or 5 prospect in the system, and he was like right around 150th overall. Pretty good pitching prospect who had made his way all the way to AAA last year after pitching really well in AA last year. Went to AAA, pitched okay, got a plus fastball, plus slider, but we traded him, and I'm pretty sure this guy wasn't much. Yeah, Bastardo, we're not really all that scared of getting rid of, but we traded for a guy who comes in, and it is like him and Melton were separated by like less than 5 in the top 500 prospect rankings you can look at on the pipeline. Cruz comes in as like our 4th or 5th best prospect. Interested in him because he's a 75 infield range. Now OSA only sees him as a 70, which only, okay, yeah, OSA does not see him as good of a player as my scout, but got a potential shortstop of the future here. Even if that bat, like, because his contact and his avoid K are already pretty well developed, like, I think his ceiling or his floor here is pretty high. He's the only guy in the game that my scout sees as a 75 range infield range player. So we're pretty excited to get him. I have a lot of teams are really interested in him. I did a lot of like tinkering and trading, and he kept coming up in trade talks. I've had some interesting discussions with the Cubs on a couple of their prospects that I could possibly swap Cruz and another guy for. I don't know. We'll see if it happens. But as of now, Cruz is 20, and he made it all the way to high A last year, and he put up an 83 WRC plus, which, dude, if you can do that in a couple of years in the major leagues, put up an 83 WRC plus with that glove, we'll take it. Played in 121 games and put up 2.3 WAR. So Troy Melton for Cruz is basically 2 pretty decent prospects traded for each other, a starting pitcher for a shortstop. Alex Cobb, we re-signed him, a 2-year, $3 million deal. I was trying to get him to take a 1-year deal, honestly, for like 2.5 or 3 million, and he kept insisting on a 2-year deal with a player option. And I eventually got him down to where he was. I look at this as a 1-year, $3 million deal at worst. If he's terrible this year, if he gets hurt because he is fragile, he was really good for us in 26 starts. But if he gets hurt or he's terrible, I'd have to cut him for next year. Like, it's just a 1-year, $3 million deal in the end. So that was fine. He'll be like our number 5 starter. I'll show you more of the team in the context of that. Abreu is back, he's here, but I signed him under arbitration to avoid arbitration. Casey Mize was a little bit of a tough decision, obviously. Not obviously, I guess I should say honestly. He wanted about $4 million. We got him in at 3.9, but remember, he tore his elbow ligament. He's out for 6 more months. He just hasn't done anything in this sim because he's always been hurt, right? He had the Tommy John when we started, and then he had a sore shoulder, and then he had a torn elbow ligament. Like, it's just been rough. Like, he's made how many starts? 2023, he made 1 start for us. 2024, he made 4 starts, or 7 starts. So he's made 8 starts over the last 2 seasons because of injury, and we're paying almost $4 million this year. But the potential is there, hoping that he can come back, I don't know, June-ish, by the time he does a rehab assignment and all that. and maybe fortify our rotation if we're in need of reinforcements at that point. So I don't know. I went back and forth. I thought about cutting him loose, but Casey Mize is back. Here's the other big trade. We traded Javi Baez. We traded him with the Cardinals. We retained 30% of his deal, which is not nothing, but we freed up like $17 or $18 million a year over these next 3 years. Part of this is a credit to Baez for just being pretty good last year. He ended up putting up a 94 WRC plus, 1.7 WAR. The year before, he put up 2.1 WAR, so his fielding is good. This is an above-average player, and honestly, it's not nuts for the Cardinals to want to pay him $17 or $18 million a year, but I think that this could get ugly in a hurry here with how much he strikes out, and I'm just not sure how he's going to age. The infield range is obviously still good. He's still a good shortstop, but I kind of wanted to cut my losses here while there was some interest around the league in Baez if I put him with a good prospect. Colt Keith was he was somewhere between like 10th and 15th best prospect. The Cardinals have already traded him to the Nationals, but you can see he played in Double-A for us last year. Or wait, no, he played in both. He played in Double-A and Triple-A for us last year and was really good. 153 WRC plus in Double-A, 112 in Triple-A. His injury, he was cut short his season with a fractured ankle in July that ended his season. He was out for 4 months. But I think this is a major league player, but I just want to trade him because I just don't see a great defensive home for him. The 50 range is iffy at second. The 60 arm is iffy at third. So, I think he'll probably go on to be a major league player, but to free up $17 or $18 million, that was the price we had to pay. We also threw in 2 minor league relievers who were older that I think the Cardinals, for one reason or another, saw interest in. I mean, Callahan was good. I mean, he's a good AAA. He could pitch in the major league, sure. I don't need him. Jason Foley, same thing. They have him up. They added him to their 40-man. He's up on their roster. This 80 movement is really nice. He was really good in AAA for us last year. He didn't actually pitch for me in the majors last year, which, looking at this feels a little nuts. I don't really know why exactly. I just had other dudes who I liked more. So he's gone. We brought in a decent player. Zach Thompson. This is a starting pitcher, ground ball pitcher. Here he's listed as a reliever, so his stuff is playing up. Let me put him as a starter. Still a decent player. He pitched in He's pitched in St. Louis last year and put in 44 innings, put up a 1.43 ERA. So honestly, I know he's 27, but he has an option year left. I feel like this is a good player to get back in a trade where we're just trying to dump salary. Giving up Colt Keith was not a slam dunk. I didn't necessarily want to do it, but to get rid of 70% of Baez's contract, I think was a good move for us. Was that the end of our trades? Yeah, that's the end of our trades. So let's look at the team. We've got a lot of work to do. Honestly, we have a lot of money freed up. I mean, we have $71 million we can spend, but I'm not convinced we're really a better team at this point. We just have the flexibility now to become a better team, and our owner, for some reason, has shifted into win now mode, so hopefully we don't get fired here if I am too methodical about kind of bringing guys in. So let's look at the team under right-handed pitchers, but this is just I kind of set up this depth chart to show you, not the bench, but I guess I could do that too. So we do still have Torkelson and Green around. Honestly, I did look around for trades. For Torkelson, there's really nothing. Green, man, I just want Riley Green to work out here. There are some really good... there are no really good trades. There are some intriguing trades out there for him when I shopped him around. You can see he's pretty unhappy because I shopped him around. I just want it to work out for him. I'm holding out hope that maybe the new manager and new hitting coach here, Bill Prescott and Corey DeHaan, are going to bring out the best in Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson. Now, probably famous last words because they've just done nothing across 2 seasons for us, and it's killing us. I remember in the first episode, I think I said, basically for this kind of retool to go well, we need some production from Torkelson, Green, Mize, Manning. We've got none. And Wentz is off the team, Faedo is off the team, Skubal is off the team. Just so much hasn't worked out, but we need Torkelson and Green to step up. So right now, Torkelson is the plan at first base. That could change. I've been looking at trades, but there's been nothing, no slam dunks yet. But I mean, the 65 home run power, still with a 50 contact. Like, come on, man. Like, get it together and have like a 40 home run season for us. McKinstry will be back at second. He's been great. Malloy, I guess I'm going to play him at third. I don't love his defensive profile at third, but it makes the rest of our lineup just so much more flexible if he can play third rather than taking up like the DH slot and then I got to go find a third baseman. We're going to try it. We'll see how it works. We don't have a shortstop right now. Ryan Kreidler, I guess, is kind of our shortstop. He performed well in 56 games. Like if you ignore the bat and just look at the WAR, 0.5 WAR in 56 games isn't terrible. He can play a good defensive shortstop. He's our backup plan. I hope I don't come into the season with Kreidler at shortstop and then just sign like a slugger DH, because that's basically the same lineup we had last year if you pencil in JD Martinez and then Javi Baez down here. It's basically the same team, and this is one of the worst offenses in the league. So I'd like to do something more drastic. The deals just haven't been there yet. And maybe we'll sign somebody, maybe we'll make a trade. I really don't want to come in with like just a stopgap veteran here and Kreidler as the shortstop, but like there's certainly a world where that could happen. And where we say, all right, this new manager is going to bring out the best in Torkelson and Green, and, Dingler is going to have a full season up. Malloy will have a full season up and make like an MVP run. I'll show you the awards in a second. He did win Rookie of the Year. And, maybe we'll get a bounce back from Randy Arozarena. I probably sound like the same stuff I was saying last season. It feels a little wild to be expecting the same thing. I think part of it is, it has been tough to find trades out there, but I also I've said this before, I try not to make 37 trades in off season and have every guy in my lineup be a new starter, just from a realism perspective. But all that said, I need to improve this offense. I have to. It has to be better. And hope some of that might be internal improvements from guys we have, but I also might do drastic things if the opportunities present themselves. Pitching side of things, or actually no, you know what? Let's show you some bench guys. So if Kreidler is in, we've got several guys kind of in the running. I think I might carry 2 outfield bats. Cameron Meisner was really good in AAA and also really decent in 41 games for us. He's a left-handed bat. I think he'll be on the bench. The rest is a lot of the same not retreads because they're decent players. Like Jonathan Aranda, I don't know if he's going to be back. Yuji Rosario, I'm not sure. I've got some guys in AAA that could come up and play. Not him. Like our guy Mason here had a really nice season in AAA, and he's a right-handed bat, which we need more of off the bench. So perhaps Mason comes up and is our right-handed hitting outfielder who can play a little bit of infield. Only third base? Maybe he could. No, that's second. That's going to be bad at second base, that 40 double play. But maybe in a pinch he could. He can play some first base too. Yeah, so I think he might be up as a right-handed bench bat. We'll see. We might also sign a free agent to just continue to add depth to the organization. Pitching side of things, let's get to that now, though. Alcantara and Severino at the top of the rotation. We're going to go out and shop around for another starter. We've got Alex Cobb, Wilmer Flores, who he won't be a prospect anymore, and they update the rankings. Was the number 46 prospect and pitched decently in 71 innings, mostly in relief last year. He's got the inside track on the 5th starter job, but we'll see, because Chase Dollander, one of the top prospects in baseball, but struggled in 50 innings for us. He's got a really good future with us, I think. He might pitch out of the bullpen to start the season and kind of be like our number one guy who steps in, like the 6th starter who steps in when there's an injury or a bad performance or something. We've got Lang and Beeks at the back end of the rotation, or the back end of the bullpen. We'll probably sign another guy back here. You can see these 6 assigned roles are kind of who I see in the bullpen to start, and then one of these guys will probably make the team. The rest will be AAA depth. A lot of these guys and then we'll sign a closer, I think. But this is a lot of really good depth. Like Daoka is here, Thompson is here, Sanchez is here, Brant Herter is still a prospect. Well, he's 26 now, but still a pitcher that I think could be decent for us. We've also got, Jackson Jobe. Put up 2.7 WAR and pitched 119 innings in AAA last year. He's the number 22 prospect in baseball. It might be time just to give him a shot and give, where we go? There we go. Just give Jackson a spot here as the 7th guy, put in one of these guys as the 8th, and then just bump everybody here up a notch. Like make Lang back in the stopper role, put Abreu as the right-handed setup. We could do that. That actually, like, talking through that kind of like makes more sense. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We'll see. Let's look at the awards real quick. Let's see. Let's do it through going to the league news, because I want to show you like how the voting went and all that, and who got votes and who didn't. So we'll have to kind of like comb through the news here to find the different awards. There's where AJ Hinch was fired. Yeah, bunch of trades. Here's the Gold Gloves. Here's AL. We got Ricky Tiedemann. Really, is he okay? Cool. That's a very, very young Gold Glove pitcher. Jose Trevino, Yandy Diaz, Jimenez, Bregman, Correa of the Twins, Chas McCormick. He put up 5.2 WAR and a 136 WRC plus and won a Gold Glove. Wow. Miles Straw, man, it's like former Astros and Astros day here, because we got Bregman, Correa, McCormick, Straw, and Tucker. So I guess the Astros have really good defense, and they also got rid of some really good defense in recent years. NL got Snell, Murphy, Walker, Nico Horner, Brian Hayes, Nick Ahmed, Brian Reynolds, Brett Phillips, Seiya Suzuki. Nick Ahmed, possible option for us at shortstop, because he'll play Gold Glove, but he just does nothing for our offense that we need to fix. So we'll see. AL reliever of the year, Duran won it for the Twins, but second place with more first place votes was Jalen Beeks of your Detroit Tigers. NL reliever of the year was Devin Williams, Gratterall, Jimenez, Hader, and Cam Robinson closed out the top 5. Silver Sluggers on the AL side of things, we're going Jansen, Guerrero, Altuve, Bregman, Anderson, Evan Carter, nice, a Rangers top prospect in real life, Trout, Judge, and Matt Carpenter, the DH Gold Glove. No Tigers. On the NL side of things, we've got Alvarez, Freeman, Marte, Encarnacion Strand, Bogarts, Jose Pirela in left field. Won a Silver Slugger? Really? Okay. Wow, he came from the KBO. In 2023, he played in the KBO, and 2022, I guess in real life, and then came over and just randomly won a Silver Slugger with the Cubs. Okay. I didn't realize that he had done that. You might have been able to tell. Garrett Mitchell, Mookie Betts, Nolan Gorman. Rookie of the year, Justin Henry Malloy, in just 97 games, 91 starts, takes home Rookie of the Year. He gets 29 of the 30 first place votes. Shout out to Orioles legend Dylan Beavers for coming in 5th place. Luciano won it for the Giants. A bunch of first place votes spread out here, but a lot of names you might recognize, like Jordan Lawler, Zach Veen, Yuri Perez, as like real life, really good prospects at this point. Schneider in Toronto won Manager of the Year. Dave Roberts won Manager of the Year in the AL. I think that's his 2nd straight, maybe. Cy Young, Carlos Rodon, that's funny, won the Cy Young. Christian Javier, Garrett Cole, Jalen Beeks with 1 first place vote, and coming in 4th in Cy Young. What a stud in our bullpen. Tristan McKenzie, Jacob deGrom, and Davey Garcia of the Kansas City Royals. Okay. Strider, he took 20 of the 31st place votes. Then Corbin Burns took the rest, and then Woodruff. Tyler Anderson, 4th. Bieber, Nola, Kyle Harrison, who's a prospect? 3rd round pick in 2020. Okay. So he's like a legit prospect probably for them. I don't know. Hunter Green, Andrew Painter, rounding out the Cy Young in the NL. And then Vlad Jr. gets all 30 first place votes. You can see the other names here. Chas McCormick gets some votes. Some Astros, some former Astros. Gunnar Henderson and Adley both got 2 second place votes. Jalen Beeks, reliever Jalen Beeks, who pitched 83 innings, got 1 second place vote for AL MVP for your Detroit Tigers. Mookie Betts for the LA Dodgers, taking home every first place vote for the MVP off his 7.7 WAR season. He's 32. He's a beast. He put up 7.2 WAR last year. Freeman Turner, Nick Castellanos putting up 3.3 WAR, 142 WRC plus. He went yard 43 times. And I'll tell you, they're trying to cut salary or something, because I've had some discussions with them about Nick Castellanos. I really have trouble believing his performance of the last 2 years, but I should believe it. I mean, he led the league in slugging and then runs and RBI, which, whatever. But an amazing WRC plus and OPS. He can play first base or DH for us, and he's a right-handed bat. He fits in a lot of ways. But I just get like JD Martinez feelings from him. Like he's going to come and just fall flat on his face, and it's going to be a lost season because our big offensive acquisition fell flat on his face. But there's a trade to be had here where they'll retain some salary. They're not shy about giving up Castellanos in trade. I could get him. We'll see if that happens. So was that MVP? That was the end of us, right? Yep. Okay. So now we'll get into the offseason. Like I said, we need the shortstop. We need a bat at DH. We'll see if we bring back Torque. We might need a first baseman. We did a number 3 starter. I think I might have talked myself out of needing a reliever while recording this, but we'll see. I really like our depth. Maybe we'll be okay, and we can always trade for relievers during the season if we need to. Generally, they're readily available. You can figure out acquiring one if you need to. Who's out there? I mean, first of all, Juan Soto is out there. Left fielder, but also has been playing a bunch of first base. He put up 4.6 WAR and a 145 WRC plus for the Padres. Very similar numbers last year. Has led the league in on base both years of this sim. He wants 8 years, $38.8 million average salary, $310 million. Obviously, he'll get a lot more than that in real life, but this is like a manageable contract. I might get into the bidding. What sim was it that I had him in? I think it was the Phillies sim, right? Yeah. I don't know. Is that boring if I sign him again? I don't think it's ever boring to bring Juan Soto into your sim. It's pretty fun, actually. Shane Bieber's out there. Max Muncy is the number 3 free agent, our third baseman last year. We're not getting in on that bidding with him at age 34, around $20 million per year for 5 years. Now, speaking of my Phillies sim, grandson of Wind, Jung-Hoo Lee has entered the league from the KBO. I had Lee and Soto in my Phillies sim. I can envision a world where I am this offseason with Lee and Soto. Like if I signed Lee to come in and be my left fielder and then moved Riley Green for assets, because Green has some trade value. Yeah, I could see that happening. But I don't know. We'll see. Wow, Clayton Kershaw only wants a 1-year deal. He pitched really well last year. I'm surprised he only wants 1 year. So we'll see what happens. I'll get into this offseason a little more, and we'll move a bit forward here, just kind of scanning Jose Quintana. Get out of here. But there's not like a lot of stud bats, right? It's kind of like there's Soto, and then I think that's a pretty big drop-off to Muncy. I mean, there's basically Soto and Lee. And Eric Hosmer randomly was really good last year, but otherwise has been bad. There's not a lot of other like good names to get. So I think that's, why possibly like a trade for Nick Castellanos is possible. But we'll get into it here. Let's go forward a little bit and see what we can make for the 2025 Tigers, hoping to improve this club a bit and not just come back with the same exact team, but we'll see how it goes and see what trades make themselves available to us. All right, so we are now through the offseason. We just a lot happened and figured just catch you up all at once on everything that happened. We're 1 day before spring training begins, so we're going to catch up on the whole offseason here, and then we're also going to talk about like the position battles in spring training, all here live. So what did we do? So we did sign Jung-Hoo Lee, grandson of Win, also former Phillies legend. That was the first move we made. We signed him to a 7-year, $105 million contract. 7 years, I don't love the term there, but the annual salary is so low that like it's really not going to be a crippling deal no matter what happens. And based off of what my scout thinks of him, and honestly, based off of him being an out-of-the-park legend, we're pretty comfortable with this contract. Now, I don't love that he's a left-handed hitting outfielder because we really needed more righties on this team probably than lefties, but I just ended up with the way things were going and who was available and trades that were coming together. It was just like he was the best player that we could add. I mean, other than Juan Soto, but I wasn't swimming in those waters, although maybe I should have, because my owner jacked up my budget like $18 million, but it was after Soto signed with the New York Mets, which I'll show you. So I didn't get into the Soto bidding, although maybe I should have. But so Lee is here. He is a left-handed hitting outfielder, which you already had a lot of. So what did I do after I signed him? I traded one of my only right-handed hitting outfielders, Randy Arozarena. Basically, my thinking was this. Like, Parker Meadows wasn't going anywhere. He's my center fielder. Riley Green, like, I mean, you guys who watch my Sims know I'm just kind of, like, biased towards giving extended chances to guys who are actually possibly or already are part of the core of the real team, right? So Green being a real Tiger, like, I just want to give him more chances. And I recognize, like, I might be kind of shooting myself in the foot there by giving him more chances than he deserves. And certainly it appears that my scout, why does this say, oh, I'm on OSA. I was like, this looks worse, but maybe OSA is more accurate. So I've given Green probably more chance, and Torque too, he's still here. But Arozarena just seems like the odd guy out, even though I now have 3 left-handed hitting outfielders as my starter. Now, in hindsight, I maybe should have held on to Arozarena and had those 4 outfielders and just figured something out down the line and not traded Arozarena right away. But I did it. And after I did it, I was like, man, maybe I should have held on to him for a little bit. But I did it. I traded Arozarena. I got Nick Castellanos for him. Castellanos, that came out weird. Nick Castellanos for him. So last year we brought back JD Martinez to Detroit. This year we're bringing back Nick Castellanos. And we traded Arozarena, who had come off like just a down year for us. He's about to turn 30. He was getting more expensive. He had like 2 more years of team control left. And so he's out of here. Even we're probably going to be going out and maybe trading for a player very similar to him when we need a right-handed hitting outfielder later in the season, because my roster is constructed sub-optimally. But here we are. And we also threw in Gage Workman, who at one point I think was a prospect that I had some interest in following, but he just never really put it together. You can see he struggled 2 years in a row at Double-A. Good fielder, but I'm not sure that he's a major league player at this point, given his performance in the minors. Scouting, you can still see a possible major league player there, maybe utility infielder, but just hasn't gotten it done with the bat even in Double-A, and he's 25 now. So Castellanos came in. So Lee comes in, and he's a right fielder. Castellanos is our DH. Not a lot else has changed with the offense. Like, man, I have tried to get a 70-plus range shortstop, and it's basically like trade a top prospect or don't get one. So right now I'm going with don't get one. Ryan Kreidler, I think, can put up, maybe a 1.5 WAR season, like a 70 WRC plus. Like, I think we'd take that. I don't think this is the plan here all season necessarily, especially now that his contact, as of February, has come down from a 40 to a 35. His power dropped. His potential eye dropped. Oh, potential, both those dropped. So we don't really want him as our starting shortstop long term here. I think this is just what's happening right now. I think we'll be looking to make a trade, looking to make a waiver claim, like whatever, for a guy with a 65 plus, but ideally like 70 plus range. There are other guys out there that I could get with the 65 plus range, but they really weren't any better than Kreidler. Much would be Kreidler. It's not Kreidler, right? Anyways, I'm calling him Ryan Kreidler, and I've been calling him that for a few episodes, and you guys haven't seen any of the episodes yet. So, oh well, if I've got it wrong. So, yeah, it was just the guys that were out there that were similar to him in range, or right the exact same range as him, weren't any of an upgrade at the plate. They were really just mediocre bats. And so it wasn't worth giving up assets for that, for, a lateral move. So this is our plan for now. I'm not thrilled with it. I will go back out and look at free agency. Maybe somebody's fallen through the cracks now that we're almost to spring training. We have a ton of money to spend because, well, we had a decent cushion in our budget, and then our owner jacked up our budget. So now I have a ton of money left. So that's what's going on at short. Everything else is kind of the plan. Like Castellanos and Lee were the 2 big bats that we brought in. Dingler, Torkelson, McKinstry, Malloy, Kreidler, Green, Meadows, Lee, Castellanos. I really like the first 4 in this lineup. I like McKinstry, Malloy, Lee, Castellanos. I think that's a really solid top 4. Torkelson and Green, sounded like a broken record here. Same thing as last season. Could be an awesome 5 and 6 hitter. Could be below league average. Who knows? The bottom third of the lineup's pretty weak. Dingler, we're going to need more from him. Hopefully, as he gets more major league experience, he'll play a bit better. He really had good numbers against lefties and just horrid numbers against righties last year. We'll see how that goes. Parker Meadows is here for his glove and a decent bat. He's not terrible. And then Kreidler, Mr. Ryan, he, we're going to see. Maybe he can walk a lot, right? His walk rates are really good. 10.4, 13.9%, 12.3%. I mean, his on base, a 180 average, but you have a 297 on base. That's not bad. So maybe I'm selling him short. If he can be above average with the glove and walk in 12 to 14% of his plate appearances, that's not the end of the world. He's not going to lose you a division title, but he's not going to win you one either. Pitching side of things. Oh, what did we do? So we signed Clayton Kershaw. We signed him to a 1-year, $15 million deal. He is coming off a really solid season where he only made 18 starts and put up 2.5 worth, a 3.48 ERA in LA. You can see that he only made 9 starts in 2023, 18 starts in 2024. His injury proneness somehow is normal, but we've got concerns here. Look at all these injuries he's had just since the game started. The shoulder inflammation for 4 months. He had a dead arm. He had a ruptured tendon in his finger, missed 3 months. So he missed 4 months of the 23 season, and then in spring training, he had a 3-month injury the 24 season. So a lot of risk here in this rotation because Severino is also fragile. Cobb is also fragile. Honestly, my thought here is all of these guys I think are on pretty team-friendly deals, and if I can get 2 starters worth of starts out of the 3 of them, right, get 60 starts between the 3 of them, we'll be ahead of the game because we've got so many arms that could potentially jump into this rotation, but I wanted some depth in front of the young arms, like Chase Dollander. This guy's a potential stud. The 3rd overall pick in 2023 was the number 4 prospect in baseball when we called him up. We've got him. So we've got a lot of insurance plans if we have injuries. We've got Casey Mize coming back from injury in 3 months. Matt Manning is here. Brant Herter is here. Graham Ashcroft. All these guys have option years, so they'll all probably start in the minor leagues, but we've got a ton of depth. So I'm pretty comfortable with going out and signing some guys with decently high ceilings, but whose maybe his value isn't as high because they're injury prone. We've also got Jackson Jobe, who as of last check was the number 22 prospect in baseball. I think I'm just going to start him on the team. He's now made 24 starts at AAA last year after making 6 starts in AA. He was good, and I think it's just time to give him a shot. Normally I'd say I'd hold him down for a few weeks to manipulate his service time, but I think I'm just going to call him up. I think he's deserved that shot, and it means, that a lot of guys we're gonna have a lot of good arms in AAA. Montes de Oca is going to be nice. Fernando Sanchez, the guy that we got in a trade with San Diego in the offseason, and he was hurt and going to miss time. His recovery jumped ahead, so he's doing better, but his numbers have gone down coming off his arm injury, which isn't great. We'll see what happens. We knew that this was a possibility, and we kind of got him as a throw-in, high-risk, high-reward player, looking like maybe the risk is winning out over the reward there. So Kershaw was the main addition. To show you on the lineup side of things kind of who the backups will be, because, obviously on this depth chart I haven't really penciled in the backups yet. So we brought in Kurt Casale as our backup catcher, mainly because he's a leader, and he also, he's been decent the last 2 years in a backup role with the Reds. So we think that he's a good backup to Dingler. He's a good insurance plan who could hop in and play more games if we needed him to. I won't go through every hitter on the 40-man here, but I will show you who I think has an inside track on a job. Where's our guy? There he is. Oh, my mouse is not wanting to cooperate. Oh, because my mouse wasn't on the mouse pad. So Jonathan Ornelas, American-born third baseman out of Arizona. His school is Kellis. We got him, of course, from Texas. I reviewed that trade earlier. A jack of all trades, can pretty much play everywhere. Played in Double-A last year and put up a 150 WRC plus. You know, I don't know necessarily that my scout thinks he's anything more than a league average bench guy. Yeah, he has the chance to fashion a major league career as a bench player. Right, that sounds about right based off of my scout things. But based off of the fact that he's a right-handed bat, which again we need on our bench for sure, at least 2 of those, and he can play pretty much everywhere. I mean, you don't want him starting in center and shortstop all the time, but he can play all across the diamond, all over the diamond even. And so I think he's got an inside track on a utility job for our bench. I also think that friend of the sim Mason here has an inside track on a job because he's probably the best right-handed hitting outfield option that we have. Last year he played in AAA and put up a 115 WRC plus. He's a good fielder. He can also play some third base, which means we could also stick him. Wow, he maybe fake it at second base too. Maybe we'll get him some time there in spring. Running some drills with him at second base. He can also play first base, so he can play all over the diamond as a right-handed bat. He also would be a really good pinch runner, so I think he's got a shot at an inside job, or the inside track on a job. And I did add him to the 40-man because he was Rule 5 eligible. And the last guy who I think is going to probably make the team is Cameron Meisner. Now, the mark against him is he's a lefty bat. The marks for him is that he absolutely demolished AAA last year, and then he was really good in the 129 plate appearances he got for us. He's got 65 range. He can play first base. He can play all over the outfield. He is now 27, and honestly, there's been some decent trade offers involving him, and I haven't pulled the trigger because I'm just want a plan B if Riley Green comes out of the gate slow like the first 2 months again. And I think Meisner is that guy, is that backup option. But at 27, it might be time to it's put up or shut up season for him. And no fault of his own. He's made the best of every opportunity he's gotten. But Riley Green is on the clock. We'll see if he can take his job from him. He could also get some starts in center, Meisner could, because he has the 65 range. He can give Meadows days off. I think Meisner is going to get a good amount of playing time. I think he's not going to be a starter, but I think he's going to play 3 or 4 days a week, and we're going to see what we have in him. So that's kind of the rundown of the depth chart as we enter spring training. We'll also show you what else happened in the offseason in terms of free agent deals. The big one was Juan Soto to New York on an 8-year, $285 million deal, $35.6 million per year. Obviously, in real life, any team would jump at that deal, I think, to sign Juan Soto, just the 8-year term. And under $300 million. Yeah, I think that teams would jump on that. So he goes to New York. He goes to the Mets. Thank goodness it's New York Mets, not the New York Yankees. I don't know if Buck Showalter's still the manager there, but I hope he is, and I hope Juan Soto brings him a World Series. Who else signed? Shane Bieber was out here too. Let's see. Oh, Zach Wheeler went to Oakland. Oakland added a ton of guys this offseason. It was weird. 4 years, $52 million. Maybe I should move him to Las Vegas. Maybe I should expand the league. I didn't do either of those yet. I know I keep saying, well, maybe next season. But hey, maybe next season I'll expand the league. Shane Bieber went to the White Sox on a 4-year, $25 million deal. 4 years is really reasonable for a dude who's 29 and has put up some really good seasons. I like that deal for Chicago. There's the Bieber deal. Who else got bigger multi-year deals? Max Muncy did go to Milwaukee too. 3 years, $48 million. Good for him. We enjoyed the time we had him. There's the Soto deal. Yeah, a bunch of 1-year deals. You got some multi-year deals here, but not a lot of big ones. And it's not like a budget space thing. I know in earlier versions of the game, teams were running out of budget space, so guys, a lot of free agents didn't get signed, but that's really not the case here. And there are a lot of guys out here still who don't have contracts offered to them, but I don't know that any of them are guys I'm going to hop in on. We could always bring back Austin Meadows, although we don't need a left-handed bat. It's just not something we need because we signed the grandson of Wynn. there might be guys here who are interesting, but I don't think there's anybody who's going to like supplant. I don't think there's any shortstop good enough to supplant Ryan Kreidler. So we'll probably, I'll dip my toes in the water, see what's there, but I don't know necessarily that I'm going to sign anybody. International free agents still ongoing, actually. That was one reason I kept like putting off recording this, is because I thought maybe like they were going to be wrapped up and I could show you everybody I've signed, but it's February 26th and they're still not wrapped up. So I finally decided just to record the video. I missed out on a couple guys. It didn't go as well as last year. Some of the bigger, last year I was able to get two guys I really liked a lot for really reasonable prices, like I think under $2 million each maybe, and then sign a bunch of lower level guys too. The like 3 or 4 best guys who I was most interested in, all of their bidding ended up through the roof, to where it was like the entire available pool, international free agent pool money went to them. You can see I spent $2.29 million so far. I still have $2 million invested in pending offers, which is 82% of the cap. So I still have $940,000 not even out there in offers. I'm kind of waiting for a few guys that the bidding keeps going up to finish to see if I'm going to sign them or not. It's these two guys, and it's getting late in the signing period. There's a lot of imperfect players out there, but Jesus Aguilar, I have about a $1 million deal out there for. He's got high work ethic. He's got a 60 range. He can play some outfield too. Decent looking prospect. Nothing amazing. Luis Romero. Whoa, what? Oh, I think I offered it to him when I was on OSA. I must have switched to OSA at some point. Hopefully I didn't make all my international free agent signings on OSA on accident. That would actually be kind of funny. So I made an offer to this guy for some reason because OSA thinks he's really good. My scout is not nearly as big of a fan. I mean, OSA doesn't think he's really... Whoa, what just happened? I just simulated. No, don't simulate. Oh, I signed a guy. Oh, we signed. That's really funny. I accidentally hit the continue button. We're now in spring training, but we signed this guy with low work ethic, low intelligence. We gave him $1 million, and my scout hates him because I was looking at the USA report and was like, at least he's really fun and has a lot of power, right? Like, this is a guy who, when it was getting to the bottom of the barrel in international free agents, was like, let's give him a whirl. This looks like it's not going to work out at all, but let's give him a try. I wouldn't have touched him if I'd realized what my scout thought. That's actually kind of funny. Also have an offer out to this dude here, Jesus Aguilar, who we want to click on him like that. Oh, we already looked at him. Sorry about that. So who else have we signed? We've signed a bunch of dudes. Let me go ahead back here, and I'll go through the list here because I'll show you some of the dudes I missed out on too. Nationals signed like 6 guys in the first few days. So we signed Corona here, who is a 70 range infield prospect with a decent bat and high work ethic, and we only paid him $370,000. I thought that was a great signing. Really happy with that at that price level. Oh, I wish this menu stayed down the bottom. So this was one guy we were in on, but I wasn't totally in on. OSA was way higher, and his bidding didn't go as high as I thought it would. He only signed for 1.8. If I'd known it was going to be in that ballpark, I probably would have jumped in on him a bit more. This guy I was definitely in on. Jorge Ramirez, I mean, look at that bat, but it just got crazy. He went for $4.82 million. So I backed off once I was like, I'm not going to be able to sign anybody else if I sign this guy. We also signed Escobar here for really cheap, $320,000. We've got a leader with high work ethic who doesn't look like a great player necessarily, but that high work ethic and that price, just why not? Why not throw a $370,000 dart and try to sign that guy? Or sign that guy and try to develop him. Let's see. Who else did I sign? Oh, Figueroa here. I definitely went after, but he ended up going for 5-point-something million. So we didn't sign him. I wish that menu stayed there. 5.6 million he signed for. Campos we signed for 1.4 million. He's got the low work ethic. He's got the low avoid Ks, but 16 years old. He's also fragile, but at 1.4 million, Yeah, I was looking at my scout on these. I didn't see him as a 70 home run power guy. 70 discipline. That's even better. I think this is a fine play for that amount of money. Like I said, I missed out on the top guys. Their bidding just got crazy and I backed off, or it went above the amount of money I had left at that time. So I got a bunch of guys like for below. Everyone was like below 2 million, and all of them have flaws. But I think there are a lot of really decent dart throws / lottery tickets, whatever you want to refer to them as. We also signed this shortstop, Jesus Yorba. Oh, this one is definitely look at OSA. Yep, this was another. I switched to OSA at one point, and I was like, yeah, I will certainly pay this guy $200,000. But then if I look at my head scout, it's like, why would I ever be interested in this guy? Although he does have high work ethic. It'll be really interesting, or not really interesting. It'll be really funny if one of these guys works out that I wouldn't have signed if I'd been on my scout and not OSA. Let's see. Where was Yorba? He's up here. Dun, dun, dun. Did we sign anybody else? No. Okay. So we've got a pending offer out to Aguilar, and then we still have some money left. What do we have left? We have $940,000 left to spend. Let's just sort by demand. Can't say I'm too interested in that guy. Am I on head scout? Yeah, I am. Okay. So yeah, I'll sign one more guy. Probably like a guy with like high work ethic, but there's not a lot out there still. Oh, I don't hate this for $140,000. Yeah. I mean, I hate his home run power, but I mean, what really are you expecting for $200,000? This guy for 100. See, I think at this point I'm just gonna like sign a bunch of lottery tickets and see what happens. Anybody with a beautiful eye? Oh, look at this guy. Oh my gosh, look at the rest of him. I saw he had a 75 eye, but then look, he's a leader. Let's just bring him in. 140,000. Why not? I think I'd rather just sign a bunch of dudes right now. Maybe I don't normally sign pitchers, but let's just see what's out there. No. Right? Nah, let's not do that. We still have $500,000 left to spend. Who has high work ethic and high intelligence? Does anybody have both that's left? Yeah, this guy right here. Absolutely. High work ethic, high intelligence, $150,000. Sign me up. So yeah, that's what we'll do there. So it's time for spring training. Those are the position battles. That's the offseason. That's the team. Do I feel great about this team? No, I don't. No, I think it could be a really good team. I was hoping the offseason was going to go a little differently. I think part of it was that the trade market was a bit of a grind out there. There wasn't a lot of things. I think some of it is just my overall bias to hold on to guys like Green and Torkelson to build the team around like real Tigers in some fashion. But I think this team could be excellent if these four guys all have the season that they're capable of at the top of the lineup. And then if our pitching stays decently healthy, if we get steps forward from like Dollander, Jackson Jobe, like I don't know. I think this team is close to taking a step. It's not going exactly how I wanted. I still think through spring training, like I could make a trade for a shortstop. And if we do that, I'm feeling a lot better about this team. But the issue is the shortstop's probably not going to be able to hit. And I think our offense could hold us back again, but we'll see. Hopefully the new coach, the new manager, the new hitting coach can help us. So we'll go into spring training here. We'll end the video, and next video will come back. You can meet your 2025 opening day Tigers. This is probably about what they'll look like, but we'll see. Thank you for watching. Go Tigers. Talk to you guys next time.